What if financial trading wasn't some mysterious art, but was more like an industrial process, like building a car? Today, we're diving into a system that does exactly that. This is Colony X, the trading factory.
So let's just start with a pretty wild question. What if you could trade in these super complex financial markets with the same kind of precision and quality control that Toyota uses to build its cars? I know, it sounds like two totally different worlds, but that's the big idea we're digging into.
Because this is really the story of a system built to throw out the old, unpredictable, black box AI that just tries to guess where the market's going, and instead, it swaps it for a crystal clear, deterministic assembly line process where every single move is repeatable and auditable.
Now, to really get this system, you've got to understand the mind behind it. Because the person who created this trading factory, well, he doesn't come from Wall Street. He comes from an actual factory.
Before we even drop his name, just listen to this. The CEO of a heavy industry company, we're talking real-world manufacturing, said that working with this guy led to a quantum leap in their production. That's a huge statement, and it's coming from the world of steel and machines, not stocks and bonds.
So, let's meet the man himself, Marcus Caprio. And what's so fascinating here is what you don't see on this list. There's no Wall Street veteran or hedge fund guru. Instead, you see a lean Six Sigma black belt. That's basically a Jedi master of making industrial processes incredibly efficient and practically error-free. His whole career has been about perfecting a process, not trying to predict a market.
Okay, so what happens when a process expert like that applies his factory floor thinking to trading? Well, first he builds a perfect, repeatable manual process. Let's take a look at the anatomy of that perfect trade.
So the foundation of this whole thing is a specific two-part pattern. Part 1 is called a break of structure on a 15-minute chart. You can think of it like the system's high-level alert, the first siren that goes off suggesting a market's trend might be about to flip.
Right after that high-level alert, the system zooms way in, down to a 1-minute chart, and it's looking for a second, much more precise pattern, a break and retest. This is the final confirmation. It's the green light. A trade is only even considered when both of these documented patterns happen, in exactly that sequence.
So, how well does this manual strategy actually work? Okay, get this. In one documented trading period, it hit a 97% win rate. That's 37 wins out of 38 trades. Now, look, that's a snapshot, but it was enough to prove the process was profitable. So, the goal of Colony X isn't to invent some new magic trick. It's to perfectly automate this existing, successful process.
And this brings us right to the factory floor philosophy. How do you take that proven manual process and actually scale it up? Well, you don't build a typical trading algorithm, you build an assembly line.
And this just lays out the difference so perfectly. On the left, you've got your traditional algo trading, a black box that's trying to learn and predict. It's totally opaque, a complete nightmare for any kind of regulatory compliance. Then, on the right, you've got the Colony X approach, literally based on the Toyota production system. It doesn't predict anything, it just repeats a proven process. Every single decision is deterministic, auditable, and transparent. It's built for compliance from the ground up.
So, who's on the factory floor? The workforce is made of two key roles. First, you have the ant traders. These are simple, deterministic little microbots. Each one is like a worker on an assembly line, just designed to do one tiny thing perfectly, over and over and over. And then you have the water spider. This is the factory manager, and its job isn't to predict the market. Its only job is to analyze how the ants are performing and find ways to make the assembly line itself run better.
Now, in any high-quality factory, you have to have rigorous quality control, right? In Colony X, this comes in the form of 7 distinct quality gates that every single potential trade has to pass through, no exceptions.
And here's the absolute crucial point. A trade only gets executed if it gets a green light on all 7 of these checks. Things like, is it the right time of day during a high-volume session? Do we see the exact price patterns we just talked about? Is our risk level within the strict daily limits? Is the connection to the broker stable and fast? If even one of those answers is no, the trade is rejected. The assembly line stops. Period. So, if you're building a factory, you don't just measure profit, you measure the quality of your process using industrial-grade metrics. And that's where Six Sigma comes in.
What's so fascinating here is that first metric, process capability or CP/CPK. Now, in manufacturing, this measures how consistently you can hit a target. Imagine trying to park your car perfectly in the center of a parking spot
every single time. A high CP/CPK means you're nailing it. Reaching Six Sigma quality here means the trading process is performing with near-perfect consistency, all while having hard safety stops like a daily loss limit.
All of this, the patterns, the quality gates, the Six Sigma metrics, it all builds to one core principle: determinism. It's the absolute guarantee that if you give the system the same market data, it will make the exact same decision and produce the exact same outcome every single time. That's what makes it reliable, testable, and completely auditable.
So once you have a proven deterministic process like this, the vision for Colony X gets a lot bigger than just trading a few currency pairs. It's about scaling this factory to a universal level.
The roadmap is definitely ambitious, scaling from just a handful of ants to thousands. But the ultimate vision? That's phase 4, a cosmic scale with 10 billion ants. The theory is, if the process is perfectly deterministic, you could apply it to stabilize any commodity market, creating a kind of universal protocol. I mean, it's a futuristic idea for sure, but it just shows the power of thinking about markets like a factory, whether that's for currencies on Earth or maybe one day for resources on Mars.
And that leaves us with a final thought. We started by asking if you could trade like Toyota builds cars, but maybe the bigger question is this. Could applying the principles of a factory, precision, quality control, and deterministic processes, be the key to redefining the very future of financial stability itself?